Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is, Peace and Harmony, can you please do a video series of being inwardly focused? Basically, how to maintain a healthy habit lifestyle. In other words, how do you heal after you have been through a toxic, caustic, or hurtful relationship with someone who has been difficult, someone who has mistreated you, or it has been, really less than stellar. You might have lost a lot of time, a lot of heartache, a lot of mental energy. And how do you sort of turn the ship around? How do you get that I am, that internal focus, that pursuit of happiness, and sort of learn how to develop that mechanism to sort of get perspective on relationships that have really taken an unnecessary, unhealthy, destructive, or negative toll on you, where it's disrupted your thoughts, your emotions, your energy and motion, your feelings, and ultimately, your physiological body, the kinesthetics, how you feel, and how you feel about yourself, how you feel about relationships, how you feel about opportunities in life, and where you are at in that level of happiness or unhappiness. So, when it comes to developing an inward focus, you must really understand that the habits that you might have picked up in a relationship with a narcissist or a psychopath, if these are bad emotional habits, bad physical habits, bad work habits, oftentimes these are founded on the need to appease or please somebody and make somebody else happy to avoid punishment, recrimination, or some sort of negative consequences on the self. So that becomes a very reactive sort of outlook or mental emotional habit. So if we look at the habit of being reactive versus responsive, this will also help you to develop an inward focus. So in other words, what are the situations that you might traditionally jump at? And then, resulting with an anxious feeling, or really the feeling of that you are inadequate, not good enough. You are not perfect. You're going to foul up. You're going to make a mistake. You're going to say the wrong thing. You're going to do the wrong thing. You're going to wear the wrong thing. You're going to take a picture the wrong way. You might flip pancakes the wrong way. Oftentimes, there might be many areas of contention where you've been criticized or ridiculed or humiliated or been ignored, neglected, or had, the rage, the hostility, just sort of, the temper tantrums, and you have, not been treated fairly, and you've been reactive to these to sort of reclaim your face, reclaim your sensibility, reclaim your perspective and your I am, so it makes sense to you. Oftentimes, if you have been in a relationship with a narcissist or a psychopath, and there's been a real imbalance, an asymmetry, where you've, sort of put them on a pedestal, if you will, and made them, the sort of idealized. Usually when you do that, there is a degraded or devalued sense of self in that decision-making process. So the inner focus then becomes very difficult because it's painful. It doesn't, quote unquote, have as much juice, power, pizzazz, or whatever it is that you might be labeling it. But this couldn't be further from the truth. This is oftentimes conditioning and programming from a narcissist who is manipulative in nature. In other words, give me the attention. And, for you to have the attention, usually there's all sorts of behaviors that will truncate or stop that. So in other words, to keep the ball from being in your court, to keep the camera from being on you. You can't dribble and make a shot because they'll steal it away. That means the attention, and you sort of, the habit then becomes on a reactiveness to others versus a peace and serenity within. So I think it's really important to realize what it means to be in a calm state, a peaceful state where you're not feeling reactive, threatened, pressured, anxious, having to look out, having to defend or justify yourself. So oftentimes, there is a defense mechanism, which is a coping strategy, which is, been really, I would say, oftentimes, part of the beginning of that external locus of control, where, you had to tune into others to survive. For some reason, that decision making was built on that. So usually you've then been programmed or conditioned to not have trust or faith in yourself. For some reason, someone else has been put above you. So, that might feel good to you because at least there's some certainty. You put them on a pedestal, but oftentimes then it will minimize or eliminate your big picture, your purpose, your passion, your needs. And you become sort of disoriented or unfamiliar with these. So one really becomes unfamiliar to themselves in this process. So you have to sort of reclaim yourself, as the main event, the main prize, the main carrot is within. So realizing and having a flip-flop of, that pedestal. So realizing in the course of your day, the course of your week, the course of your month, who do you tend to put on a pedestal and then you feel less than around? So that is really disempowerment. So you must recognize then, what is disempowerment and when do you get triggered? When do you feel inadequate? And then how can you auto-correct that in the moment? So you have to be able to, first of all, I would say, realize that you don't have to jump when someone says jump. Bend over backwards when someone says bend over backwards. Worry about this, stress about this, stress about that. How much of your energetic vibration during the course of a day on a percentage could you then give it to the degree that you feel that you are under stress, under pressure, feeling inadequate or not good enough? So you have to become a little bit more sensitized to yourself and then resensitize yourself, meaning comfort, stimulate, ignite, get the motivation, get the passion going, get the juice going, get the creativity, get the aha moments. Have the good day, have the great day, have the amazing day, have the amazing week, have the amazing month, and what will make it for you. So I'm a firm believer in writing down things to help you to develop these better habits, these better emotional habits and kinesthetic, sort of what your body goes through in the course of the day. Are you armoring up? Are you, tensing a certain degree of muscles? I know for myself, I tend to really grip in the abdomen. I mean, so like right in, the abdomen, it's very, very tight for me, especially if I'm reacting a lot, then I can feel almost sick to my stomach. So that's a degree to me that I know within my body that I have to pull back, sort of de-escalate, come down the emotional elevator a little bit and, come to the ground floor and just be at the ground floor. And that's the best place to be. Not feeling that you have to see it from, the 99th floor all the time and have a drink, out on the balcony of the 95th. You don't always have to be there. That's a lot of pressure. It's okay to be grounded. It's okay to come down. It's okay to be okay. Oftentimes, though, this is a direct conflict to the state that is promulgated or sort of stimulated by a narcissist. So part of the predilection and part of the suffering is that bad habit. So in other words, not owning sort of your own sort of I am, and then having this strong and not being able to be corrupted. So you really have to understand, I would say, where your pressure is and when do you get distracted. In other words, and then reel it in and then sort of, come to a relaxed sense of self. And when you feel that you want to react, you're feeling threatened, and just so de-escalate that within. I am not threatened. I can handle this. I am handling this perfect. and I'm going to take the time to handle it, and that is okay. Usually these are procrastinated states. So I talk about in the book that I'm working on, what are, 20 things that you have been procrastinating on, and then write them down. I mean, you can write that down now and give yourself a list. It'll show you where how, your inward focus is, or how you have been neglecting it. So if you have a lot of things that you have been procrastinating on, then this oftentimes can be a big indicator that you are developing that external locus of control. In other words, putting off what you need or want, not believing on it. Oh, I forgot to, plan a trip. I forgot to do my exercise. I forgot to eat healthy. I forgot to grocery shop for the right food. I forgot to take time to listen to this educational podcast. I forgot to take time to watch this documentary. I forgot to take time to research this. So if you have a lot of these situations, and you have a fear maybe then of being alone, that fear of being alone then is generally, feeling that you are inadequate, unlovable. There's something, inherently flawed about you that makes you unlovable, and you better, hide it. I think that's really what a lot of that anxiety is cultivated, conditioned, and programmed, especially if you've been in this type of relationship. So you have to kind of look at your own procrastination list and then get excited, get motivated, get enthusiastic. It's all about the perspective. If you feel fearful, threatened, overwhelmed, then that is because you're looking at things sort of in an overwhelmed, or from I would say attitude of inadequacy, which is a flawed thinking. Those thinking is based on self-limiting beliefs, which oftentimes are developed in the course of a relationship with a narcissist or a psychopath, feeling that you are limited, or you have limited yourself in specific ways in order to be available, be in a relationship, all that was required to maintain it. So oftentimes that is how the imbalance occurs. So you need to put weight back and develop that inner focus. But I'm a real believer in, writing it down and, keeping it in front of you. I don't care if you have to carry a notebook around, with you. You're in the grocery store, you've got a notebook. You're at work, you've got a notebook. You're doing your cooking, you've got a notebook. You're brushing your teeth, you've got a notebook. I mean, where do you need to reinforce yourself? Where do you slack? Where do you slide back? Where do you regress? Get to know these pockets and then say, okay, I can see this now. I don't need to stress now. I don't need to be fearful now. I don't need to be reactive now. I am in control. I have got this. So you need to develop just sort of a different internal dialogue. You need to learn what to say when you talk to yourself. There is a book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. But I think if you watch, these videos, we do a lot of these exercises in the written form. The tools that I've developed here, the recovery date, the recovery gift, we can, break these down a little bit. So you're putting, the credibility jar. These are all tools that you can use. And it's kind of like multiple tools. You need to have multiple tools for the job. And so I definitely recommend having a specific set of tools in your tool belt that you use on a consistent basis. 3, 4, or 5 is not too many. So in other words, are you doing affirmations? I call them astramations. In the positive, I am, which is founded on your I am in a foundation of purity, peace, serenity, and no pressure. So you need to develop, I would say, kinesthetic states where you are relaxed. And, so if you're, to keep it in balance. So if you're always, sort of checking out what other people are doing, then check out what you are doing. So catch it and then respond. I'm so, checking out, what are the greatest robbers, the greatest thieves of your focus? Facebook, maybe, researching people, going back through pictures, trying to find the whereabouts of somebody. How much time, can you look at then on a percentage basis? Are you sort of in that distraction mode to relieve you from tension? And if it's a lot, then curtail it. If it's an hour, make it, 2 minutes. If it's, or extinguish that behavior. You don't need to go traipsing after this, that, and the other thing. It might be a habit, so you might need to curb and curtail that habit. So, eliminating Facebook, whatever, pictures, remove the app, remove your login, unenroll, these type of things, so that you don't, find it easy. Your email, the email notifications, so-and-so just posted this. I mean, how many of these are you reacting on? Or, spam type of things, so develop that internal focus. I am, and then also with your gaze, develop, sort of, I don't want to say like a heavy eyelid, but stop, just sort of always looking for approval from others. I would say people who have, that external locus of control, they're trying to, maybe, check in with other people or other situations before they check in with themselves. So you have to up the ante and say, I am the most important person here. I am important. I am the most important person here. I am important. I am the most important person here. I am important. You must believe this in the depth of your soul. So you might need to find where the struggle is. I am important. I, have something to say. I have something to do. I am somebody. I am not flawed. So you have to sort of correct these statements and then write them down so you develop an energetic connection in a symbiosis, a symbiotic relationship with the positive. And that flip might take a certain period of time. But as you, like Dwayne Outdoors says, it will and it does get better. But you have to use the tools. What 3 or 4 tools can you use on a consistent and daily basis to develop, reinforce, and then get rewarded from that internal focus? In other words, what is rewarding to you? What works? And what tools are you going to use? Are you going to use the recovery date? Are you going to resensitize yourself? Are you going to meditate? Are you going to take up walking? Are you going to take up, what positives are you going to fill the habit with? Are you going to develop a good habit of reading, writing? Are you going to use your astralmations? Are you going to put them on index cards? Are you going to write them on a poster board? Are you going to develop, a beautiful hobby and an outlet, that you are surprised? I didn't know I could write a haiku. I didn't know I could paint. I didn't know I could cook. I didn't know I could sing. I didn't know I could drum, or whatever, you find, that you have a strength. You have to own and stake your claim on your strength. I am strong. I am strong enough. I am resilient. You have to understand, what tools that you are going to inculcate or utilize, and absorb and use consistently, and what are really effective for you. So, and we can go through, like you said, a series. We can do more of a series on this to see which of the tools are the best for you. But number one, you should make that decision, get excited, get enthusiastic, get inspired, because it'll make radical changes in your outlook, your energy, and the types of experience you have on a moment-by-moment basis. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and for goodness sake, please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.